Now, push-pull is a technique that you may have heard of before. It's very popular in the pickup space where half the time you're kind of pushing the girl away, and then the other half the time you're pulling her in. I had a guy comment on one of my YouTube videos recently, "Why do you need these lines? Why can't you just be natural and be genuine?" Well, go ahead and do that, bro. Be totally genuine and natural, which in my opinion means that you're being fucking boring. You're saying the same crap to her that every other guy says. This is to spice up your conversations. That shit works, boys. Trust me.
The Unapologetic Man Podcast.
I'm gonna sex you up until the room stinks. You know, that outfit you're wearing looks exactly like my grandpa's couch. So do you head up the itty bitty titty committee? I can tell your therapist hasn't quite figured out your pill combination yet, huh? What is up, gentlemen? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the UMP. That is not what you want to say to women. Instead, I'm going to give you 10 lines today of what to say to girls to basically do push-pull. Now, push-pull is a technique that you may have heard of before. It's very popular in the pickup space where half the time you're kind of pushing the girl away, and then the other half the time you're pulling her in. So a very common technique that we use, a statement that we say is, "Too bad you're not my type," which is a push, "because you're pretty cute," which is a pull. So again, half the time you're pushing her away, half the time you're pulling her in. Now, when it comes to pushing her away, it's never like a full disqualifier. What we call them are false disqualifiers. So it's things that can't really be true. So, "Too bad you like the Denver Broncos because we can't be friends now." So it's very obvious that you're not going to like reject somebody just because they like a sports team or they like a kind of food or they're wearing like a particular kind of outfit, such as, "I'm sorry we can't be friends because I don't talk to girls who wear yellow tops with black pants. My dad was killed by a girl with a yellow top and black pants. Can't do it. Can't talk to girls like you." It's obviously a false disqualifier. Yeah, it's a little cheesy, a little contrived, but guys, I always want you to think of these kinds of lines in the context of which you're going to use them, which is you're being flirty with a girl. You guys are perhaps in a nightclub or a bar. A lot of times people listen to the podcast and they're like, "Oh, those lines would never work," because you're out of context. You're thinking in like logical man mode. When it comes to being flirty, when it comes to bantering with a woman, oftentimes those things that we say that get really good results do seem cheesy when you see them on paper. So while you're listening to this, really keep that in mind. This is flirtiness. This is like kids on the playground where you're just busting her chops and messing with her. This gets attraction from women, as opposed to the very logical approach, which a lot of you guys who think these lines are cheesy, you're guilty of. You go in very logically. You want to talk about serious things. I had a guy comment on one of my YouTube videos recently, "Why do you need these lines? Why can't you just be natural and be genuine?" Well, go ahead and do that, bro. Be totally genuine and natural, which in my opinion means that you're being fucking boring. You're saying the same crap to her that every other guy says. This is to spice up your conversations. Now, when it comes to push-pull, you need to use these very sparingly because yes, they do have a lot of line type vibes to them. They seem a little bit contrived if you use them too often, but peppered into conversations in the right way will add those attraction triggers that will get her more attracted to you. All right, so as I said, push-pull is half the time you're pushing her, the other half the time you're pulling her in towards you. Now, I need you guys to concentrate because this sometimes gets guys a little lost. This is like as complicated as my coaching gets. I have tons of techniques, tons of tricks. Usually they're pretty easy, but for this one, sometimes guys get a little lost. So stick with me here, bro. You could do this. All right, so you guys may have heard me talk about the 80-100 rule. The 80-100 rule dictates that how much she gives you as far as pulls are concerned, such as compliments, wanting to hang out, basically showing you a lot of interest, you want to give her about 80% of that. So when it comes to push-pull, our pulls are dictated based off the 80-100 rule. So for a very simple example, let's say she gives you 5 compliments. How many compliments is 80% of 5? That's right. You're a smart motherfucker. It's 4. So let's say she gives you 5 compliments, and it's just an example. I know a girl probably isn't going to rifle 5 compliments in a row, but this is easy as far as math is concerned. She gives you 5 compliments. That means you can give her 4. But for every compliment that you give her, which is a pull, how many pushes should you give her? That's right. You should also give her 4 because push-pull is always equal. However much you pull her into you, you also want to push her away from you, jokingly. That false disqualifier thing that I was talking about. Disqualifying her falsely as a joke. Once again, the example. Too bad you like the Denver Broncos because I can only be friends with girls who absolutely love the Packers or something like that. Totally false, wouldn't really be true, but it's always dictated off the 80-100 rule. So she gives you 5 compliments, you have 4 in the bucket, but you also want to give her 4 false disqualifiers. So remember this as you're listening to these lines, just pepper them in there. Honestly, in a first conversation, I might do like 2 of these, but they will be really good attraction spikes. And you don't want to say such things as, I'm going to sex you up until the room stinks, or I love your outfit, it looks like my grandfather's couch. Although I will jokingly say that. And that actually gets into another point, which is it's all about the delivery. You get these super logical guys who listen to this stuff and they're like, oh, that would never work. Meanwhile, the last time they had sex was in the 1900s and their dick is so dry, it's going to audition for the next movie of Dune, as I always say, which was actually a joke that one of my clients said like 3 months ago. And I was like, yo, I'm stealing that for the podcast because it's just that good. So don't be the dude whose logical mind blows you out from getting good with women. Really take these lines seriously because they do work when delivered in the right way. And always, boys, when delivered within the context of the 80-100 rule, you give her 80% of the pull that she's giving you, but you also send back the same amount of pushes in a joking way. False disqualifiers. I hope that made that clear. All right, guys, let's get into the lines. Line number 1, as I said, too bad you're not my type because you're pretty cute. So too bad you're not my type, which is a push, because you're pretty cute, which is a pull. And it kind of gets her off balance, doesn't it? She's like, well, does he like me? Because he said I'm not his type, but then he said I'm really cute. So how do I feel about this? And that kind of off her inner balance point, that off balance kind of vibe, that actually builds a lot of attraction with women, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen. All right, the next one, and I absolutely love this one, is fucking hilarious. I actually said this a few weeks ago to a girl and she totally cracked up. You have to practice it a few times because it's a little lengthy as far as the words are concerned, but you can also use this in a text message if you feel it's too lengthy, but here's how it goes. You're talking to the girl, and remember, guys, you have a couple compliments in the bucket. It's really important that you remember this. You look at her and you're like, dude, you are so cute, Kelly. I'd totally take you home with me, but unfortunately I can't due to Colorado's recent changes in human trafficking legislation. And then she cracks up. So this is a really good line. You're really cute. I'd totally take you home with me, but I can't due to recent changes in Colorado's human trafficking legislation. And of course, just add your state in there. Okay, another one I love. There's so many good things about you and just one bad. And this one will really get her to chase. In fact, this is included in my building intrigue elements in my coaching program where we get girls to chase you, which is obviously another podcast I should do. And maybe I'll do it in the near future. But this is a whole packet that I teach my boys, lines to say to get girls to chase you. There's so many good things about you and just one bad. She's going to be like, well, what's the bad? And I always say, why do you only want to know the bad? Why are you being so negative? And she's always like, no, I just want to know because, like, it just makes me curious. And I'll be like, don't you understand that 9 out of 10 African children are dying every 2 minutes due to starvation? Don't be so negative. Just take the compliment and run with it. And then, like, I won't tell her for a long time. And then what I'll do, and this is pretty lame and it's pretty contrived, but again, this is when she's attracted, okay? And I really need you to understand that girls think differently when they're attracted. We have signs of attraction. She's throwing compliments. So I'm like, there's so many good things about you and just one bad. And she's like, what's the bad? And I'm like, why do you only want to know the bad? Make her chase. Then say, it's too bad I can't fit you in my pocket because I'd take you home with me. And then you could say that thing I just said, but I can't due to Colorado's recent changes in human trafficking legislation. And she's going to crack up. Again, guys, playfulness, kids on the schoolyard. This is how attraction is built. The next one is, I like your energy. It's 40% adorable, 60% completely psychotic. That thing you did last week, I heard about you burning down that poor bastard's taco stand because he didn't give you the exact taco that you wanted. Hurricane Amy up in here, Typhoid Amy. getting it on, but you're totally adorable. Like 50% adorable, 50% psychopath. Kind of like that. Kind of don't like it, but I also kind of do. And you guys can see I'm like push-pulling, right? Like the whole time. And you could do this physically too. Push her away and then grab her by the belt loops and pull her back in. I do this all the time, especially before the first kiss. You seem like the type who gets away with things just by smiling. You got this like mischievous element about you and you just float through life just smiling at everybody. All teeth is glimmering in the desert sun and you just get doors open for you. You get freebies all the time. You're trouble, girl, I can tell. Next one. You've got that face that screams charisma, but sometimes your eyes tell me you might be featured in a Netflix documentary. You know, you got that face that's just like super charismatic. Your personality too. You're charismatic. I'll give it to you. But sometimes your eyes, Kelly, I see it. You're going to be featured in a Netflix documentary and they're going to like find my body behind a bunch of drywall in your house. It's going to be really crazy. So I don't think we can hang out. You see how that is? It's like, I can't hang out with you because you're so adorable, but yet you're dangerous. It's that push-pull element. I want you, but I can't have you. Or as those lyrics go, my body's screaming yes, but my mind is screaming hell no. Where do I know that from? Christina Aguilera, I think it was. Something like that. Chicks love this shit. Like that push-pull element, that intrigue, that messing with her, teasing her, telling her she's adorable, but psychotic. That shit works, boys. Trust me, this shit works. You're fun to hang out with and all, but you strike me as the type who would steal all the blankets. Or, as the opener goes on the dating apps, which has been completely overused, so I don't even suggest it anymore. You're fun at all, but you look like you'd steal my favorite hoodie. That worked pretty well back about 3 years ago before everybody who listened to the Unapologetic Man podcast blew it out on Tinder, Hinge, and Bumble, and now you can't use the shit anymore. But what you might work is, you know, you look like my grandpa's couch. Want to hang out sometime? Just kidding, boys. Don't say that. All right, the next one, and this really builds intrigue, is you do this thing that drives me crazy in the best way, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to keep doing it. So again, it's you do this thing that drives me crazy in the best way, but I'm not going to tell you what it is because I want you to keep doing it. Oh my hell, this builds intrigue, gets her chasing. She wants to know what that thing is. And the next one, and I alluded to this previously, too bad you like the Denver Broncos because I totally thought you were friend material, but that's a complete deal breaker. I cannot believe you like that team. And again, boys, it's in context, okay? You guys are flirting. You guys are having fun. And the reason I keep saying that is because I get so many butthurt comments of people like, oh, this would never work. That's so cheesy. Guys, it works. And then guys who are getting success come back and they're like, yeah, that shit really works. It does work. Girls have a different way of thinking than we do, especially an attracted girl. An attracted girl goes straight into kindergarten mode, straight into playful mode. She just wants to be with you, kids on the schoolyard, busting each other's chops, fucking with each other. Yes, boys, even if she's older. Even a 65-year-old attracted woman wants to be playful again. That elicits those emotions. So if you're like, you're so cute, but I can't be friends with girls who like the Denver Broncos, that shit will hit. Trust me, boys. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. Next one, you're cute and all, but you're such a fun friend. I don't know if I can let you out of that friend zone. You're just too good of a friend, dude. I can't let you out of the friend zone. Oh my God, this gets a ton of attraction. So we're going to go over them again. Too bad you're not my type because you're pretty cute. You're so cute. I'd take you home with me, but I can't, due to recent changes in human trafficking legislation. The next one, there's so many good things about you and just one bad. I like your energy. It's 40% adorable, 60% completely and utterly psychotic. Next one, you seem like the type who gets away with things just by smiling, skirting through life without any problems, as all hot chicks do. They have a lot easier than we do, boys, I'll tell you that. You've got that face that screams charisma, but sometimes your eyes tell me you might get featured in a Netflix documentary. You're fun to hang out with and all, but you strike me as the type who'd steal all the blankets. Next one, you do this one thing that drives me crazy in the best way. I'm not going to tell you what it is, so you keep doing it. Next one, too bad you like the Denver Broncos, Packers, whatever team, because I thought you were friend material, but that could absolutely be a deal breaker. And finally, boys, you're cute and all, but you're such a fun friend. I don't know if I could let you out of that friend zone. Don't say things like, I'm going to sex you up until the room stinks. That outfit you're wearing is like my grandfather's couch. Do you head up the itty bitty titty committee? I can see your therapist hasn't quite figured out your pill combination yet. Or, hey, you want to go in the back seat for 12 seconds of heaven? Which sometimes I'll say jokingly. In fact, I will say all these things jokingly. But again, boys, it's the delivery. But these push-pull lines, do not skip out on these. They're extremely effective. And once again, you have to use them within the framework of the 80-100 rule. Only when you have a compliment to give her do you pull these out, because invariably they require pulling her, which is a compliment, pulling her towards you. Only then can you push her away, and that's dictated by the 80-100 rule. The most difficult to understand rule that I have in my coaching. You just learned it. If you got that one down, you could do anything, brother. The sky's the limit. You could achieve all your results. So I super appreciate you listening, boys. I have a really good one coming up on Monday. I had a lot of guys ask me about my story, how I was cheated on, how I got in the seduction space, how it is that I became a dating coach that uses NLP. So I'm going to tell you my story. It's pretty interesting. I'm also going to include some pictures. I'm going to dig deep into the archives to find some pictures of me when I was a beta cuck. I actually have a picture, I'm pretty sure, of me with that first girl that cheated on me, looking like an absolute fucking cuck. And I'm going to show that and tell you guys my story, hopefully with some pictures to corroborate and to further tell the story. It should be pretty interesting. So please stay tuned for Monday. And guys, I appreciate you listening, and I will see you in the next episode. What is up, brother? Just wanted to thank you sincerely for watching this episode. If you've gotten any value whatsoever out of my content, the single best way to help me is to like, comment, subscribe, leave me a review. You have no idea how much that helps me. Also, if you're struggling with women and you want to talk to me personally about how I can help you achieve your goals with women, sign up for my 3-month coaching program below and you and I will talk. Join us in the Unapologetic Army.